Hi, Abby. Good to see you. Today we have a really important question: how to fight inflation. Of course, this is something we're all feeling every time we go to the grocery store. I feel like all the time. I want to show you some relatively good news. You know this already, but the inflation rate dipped to 8.3% in April, marking the first slowdown in 8 months. Some experts say we're past the peak of inflation, but the upward pressures remain. So, Abby, what can I do now to save money or guard against inflation?
Right. So it's interesting to say that it dipped. A retirement plan or a financial plan really needs to have this taken into account
Hmm.
beforehand, so that you're not having to make too many adjustments or be too concerned about things like this when they happen, because these are inevitable things that are inevitably going to happen, and a well thought out plan will be able to combat these things. So
Right.
in terms of investments, one of the best hedges against inflation is equities or stocks. Those are going to, over the long term, outpace the rate of inflation, and so that's going to
Right.
give you that protection there. Also, to make sure that the conservative part of your portfolio, typically most people have conservative part and then the growth or the more aggressive part. Look at that conservative part and determine if there's too much lazy money sitting around. So that's money that's not keeping up with inflation, that's sitting in low interest bearing accounts, really not earning anything, that's above what you really need for emergency purposes and for planned expenses coming up. And
Hmm.
then look at some alternatives. So
Hmm.
that's what we help our clients with quite a bit right now, especially when the inflation numbers are that bad and they're earning 0.1% in a savings account. There are
Right.
some really good options out there that are still principal protected, that can increase the rate of return on those funds substantially. So
Hmm.
making sure that mix is appropriate for where you are, and is working for you in the way that it needs to, is really important as well.
Hmm. And how is that advice different for somebody who is in or near retirement?
So typically, the what happens when we're getting closer and closer to retirement is the investment mix is going to gradually get more and more conservative. It's called kind of a glide path.
Right.
That's why target retirement date funds were invented, so that that was more of an automatic process. So the concern right now, especially for people that are in retirement or near retirement, is more and more of my portfolio, more and more of my savings is potentially not keeping up with inflation anymore.
Hmm.
So that's something that retirees really need to, or people that are close to retirement need to take a look at, and make sure they know what their mix is, and if it's appropriate, and make sure that conservative part of the portfolio is still keeping up with inflation, and hopefully even beating inflation, over the long term. And also for retirees or those close to retirement, making sure that they have sources of income, retirement income, that have the ability to increase. So we all like, getting pay raises in our jobs. And when you're retired, you're responsible for giving yourself those pay raises. So Social Security is a great example of that. That increases each year based on inflation. So that's awesome. But the other sources of income that you have need to be able to keep up with inflation. And that's something that's specific to retirement planning, and having those different sources of income that can keep up with inflation, so you can maintain the lifestyle that you want, and still do the things that you want to do no matter what inflation is.
Right. That's so important. And I want to show you this chart, Abby, which we were discussing offline. I just think it's so interesting when we look at the specifics of where we are seeing inflation. It's not going to be hitting everybody the same way across the board, but what sticks out to you here?
Yeah, so this was really interesting to me,
Yeah.
and surprising. I didn't think that we'd see rental cars and trucks at the top there. Gasoline wasn't a surprise to me, at all. I've been to the pumps recently, and it's not a fun experience
Right.
by any means. So there are some things that we can avoid on this list. But other things like, gas and, some food. I mean, you can't do without bacon. That's a
I
necessity.
agree. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, exactly. So some of these things, milk, shoes, there's no way to get around these things. So it's not like you can replace them and um, use something different until the prices come back down. It's really, you've just got to be able to keep up with the prices, even hotels and airfare, especially in retirement. Those are the things that you want to be doing. So
Mhm.
making sure that you have a solid plan that can keep up with increasing income and not put you at a risk of running out of money is incredibly important. And then just having the knowledge that your retirement plan, your income plan is still going to be solid, even though you're having to make these adjustments,
Mhm.
is huge for having peace of mind in retirement.
Peace of mind and maintaining your quality of life, which is what you were saying earlier. So that is so
Exactly.
important. Abby, if somebody has questions for you, what's the best way to reach you?
So they can visit our website at theretirementfamily.com. You can submit a message, let us know that you'd like to chat with one of our advisors. Take 15 minutes and let us know what's on your mind, and we can talk through that with you. Or if you'd like to, give us a call at 678-442-0255. Let us know what you'd like to chat about, and we'll be happy to do that.
Perfect. All right, Abby, thank you.
Thank you, Erin.